Hey everyone, thanks here for joining us on Go Local Live at the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Molly O'Brien, and I'd like to say hello and welcome Leah DeCesare. She's author of Forks, Knives, and Spoons. Leah, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We're really excited to talk to you about your novel, which is still relatively new. You wrote it in 2017.
Yep.
So if you want to hold it up for everybody. You're also wrote the series Naked Parenting, and some of your work has been published in the Huffington Post, International Doula, Eligible Magazine, among other publications. So thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
So also want to say that this is the start of Women's Entrepreneurship Week, and you're going to be moderating a discussion over at the Providence Lady Project this evening, talking just about a little bit about women's entrepreneurship and more. So we're kind of going to steer the conversation in that direction, but we wanted to talk to you about your book and what it means to be a woman entrepreneur. So if you're interested in that, it starts at 6 tonight or 6:30?
6 to 8. Yep.
6 to 8 tonight, and it's free. So if you're interested, and they have events happening all week long, so we're supporting women entrepreneurs. So talk to me just a little bit about your book. Won several awards already this year. The year's not even done, which is really exciting.
Thank you.
For you. Talk to me just a little bit about the book. Has rave reviews. How did you get the idea for it, and what inspired you to write it?
Great. So, yeah, thanks. It's been such a whirlwind, wonderful year. This came out in April. And when I decided to write a book, I went back to an idea that my dad had given me. So the truth of the story is that my dad actually sent me off to college in 1988, sent me off to Syracuse University with the idea that there are 3 types of guys: forks, knives, and spoons. And then my girlfriends and I, freshman year, kind of took that and ran with it, and it was viral before viral was a thing.
Yeah.
And so it kind of developed. So once I decided to write this book, that idea was lingering for all those years, and I had to then create a story and the characters and everything that happened around that.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. And so part of this book, what's fun, and I have to say I haven't read it yet because I just talked to you and I was like, I want to read the book, but I read part of it. Like you can read part of it before you buy it on e-reader. Yeah. Part of it is so fun because you're in college, or the characters are in college, and then of course you're doing the throwback to the 80s and 90s. So I mean, I don't know who wouldn't want to read that. But talk to us just a little bit about your character development and why they're so I don't want to say addictive, but why you get hooked into them so much.
So I fell in love with the characters myself. So I think you kind of start with a little bit of an idea, and then they grow and they do start to become their own person. The fact that it takes place in the 80s is a really fun, nostalgic piece, and I think a lot of women my age and people who live through it are really enjoying that part of it. But then also by having it that way, the characters and their lesson, it's really the story of friendship and learning to believe in yourself. So having that piece set against a different era, I think really made it highlight the truth, the universal truth of the importance of women learning to believe in themselves. So, the characters everybody likes to think that, people who write novels, it's really autobiographical. And while we do pull from life, it is not my story, but it has been, it's set in Syracuse where I did go to school. Amy York, one of the main characters, is from Newtown, Connecticut, where I grew up. So I definitely pull pieces from life to do that, and then develop them further from there.
That's awesome. I love that. You're like, well, it's sort of there's inspirations, but it's not totally 100% a true story.
Right.
So I love this, and I love the idea that there's men that are forks, knives, and spoons. And some of your pieces that you've written for certain publications, like the Huffington Post, you've written, hey, there are men out there that are forks. Get rid of them. They're not people that you want in your life. Talk to me just a little bit about how you believe women need to kind of build up each other, and why you mentioned just a moment ago that women need to kind of build up their confidence and build up their relationships with each other and get rid of all that negative energy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's really important that even before, I think we all want to be loved and belong and find that one person who really understands you. So I think that, in a nutshell, the forks are the kind of arrogant, cocky people players. Spoons sort of smooth around the edges, I guess. Nerdy is how her dad explains it to her. And then the best category is the knife category, which is more explained in the book. But I think that, to give a context to it, but I think that really what the women learn in the story is it seems like it's a story about finding your love, But really, it's a story of friendship and their journeys to discover how important it is to know themselves first. That they really need to be confident in themselves before joining themselves into a relationship. They can't look for part of themselves in someone else. So I think that's really part of it. And I think that it's a lesson that's important for young women and older women alike. And I think that as we go in and talk about the Lady Project and women's entrepreneurship tonight, it really ties in nicely because you can't be an entrepreneur. You can't follow your dreams and step confidently into the world unless you believe in yourself. So having that is such an important message. And I've been very pleased with a lot of reviewers and a lot of book clubs and people reaching out to me saying how they really feel like this should be required reading for young women, women starting off to go to college, or women starting off their work life and their careers.
Interesting concept that it had a powerful message that, you don't need to find yourself in someone else. Find yourself first. And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people want to go to college is because you're able to have that experience, not necessarily just the education part, but that concept of learning to do things on your own. You kind of find yourself, which I think is such a valuable experience if you're fortunate enough to be able to go to college.
For
right?
sure, like learning to adult, learning to be independent.
Yeah, adulting.
And it came out very interestingly in my life is that my daughter just started college. So
Congratulations, where's she going?
Thank you. She's at NYU.
Oh, that's exciting.
And it's been really fun because it was a weird, unplanned parallel that here my oldest daughter's going off, and it starts on page 1 of Amy moving into a new college dorm with her father's advice ringing in her head. Yeah, so
you're like, you can do it.
Yeah.
Good choices. I believe in you. Looking back. That's so exciting. So let's talk a little bit about this. As we move forward into Entrepreneurship Week and looking forward to women businesses, that's kind of what they're doing with the Lady Project, is encouraging women to go out to start their own businesses, and really finding it important here in Rhode Island that we find more women to start businesses here. Talk to me a little bit about, and you kind of touched on it briefly, is that we need to have the confidence to go out and start a business. Why do you find that important?
Yeah, I think that too often I hear women putting themselves down or really not believing that they can do it, looking for their validation elsewhere, where I feel like we really do need to have the security, have the faith in ourselves, and be able to really, I feel like, step out in confidence, be able to step out and say, I believe I can do this, and then I will go, and I know I can find the skills. I know I can educate myself. I know I can get the pieces that are maybe not where my expertise is to fulfill my dream. And I think that if we can empower younger women all the way on up with that message, and women entrepreneurs, you're going to be successful by stepping out and following that dream and being confident and going after what you really care about.
Yeah, I that's very valuable. So how do we, in a sense, do that from what you've seen and what you've experienced, and based on your success so far? How do we encourage young women to build that confidence? How do we empower them to go out and to follow their dreams and to go out and pursue what they want?
Yeah, and I think that, we can, certainly the sooner you can start that, the better. So I also write Naked Parenting, and that was with my work as a doula. I saw a lot of young parents and young children, and so that sort of began it. And I think that the more we can give messages of self-respect, then the self-respect rolls over into how do you allow somebody else to treat you? How do you allow a boy to treat you? So that continues to grow. So I think that it does start with, teaching young girls that they can do it. And it has to not just be lip service. There has to be action behind those words. So in all ways, whether it's seeking out a mentor, women can do it that way, finding a mentor, or sometimes somebody finds you, and they want to give to you what they've learned and be able to help you come into your own and find your way. So I think a lot of it is, it's also probably speaking to other women who lift you up and knowing when a relationship is perhaps not giving you that and when to walk away from that, so that you're not around people that are putting you down when you're trying to step out and do your thing.
You know what you mentioned right there, I found that so interesting. I don't remember what I was reading the other day, but it was something where, probably had to do with news, but it was something where instead of women bringing each other up, and supporting each other. And it was that women, instead of encouraging each other in a business setting or surrounding, they were bringing each other down, whether it had to do with looks or talent or something else. And the message behind it was, instead of being jealous or whatever it is, why not, especially in today's era, why aren't we all supporting each other and helping each other build each other's confidence, right? And so I just read an article about that, and it was so interesting because as women, we should be encouraging each other. That was kind of the moment and the message behind it.
For sure.
And so if you are surrounding yourself with women that are maybe having negative effects on you and your confidence, maybe it's time to step away from that relationship, right?
Yeah, I think that could be healthier for you. I think without a doubt, it's really, really important to protect yourself a little and create boundaries. Healthy boundaries are always important. And I think that, we see this, we talk about the mean girls, and we see it I have a middle schooler, a high school kid, and a college kid. And so you see it through the years. We see it, though, sadly, among, the competition among moms sometimes. We talk about that. And or there's the discussion of working moms versus stay-at-home moms. And why does there have to be a versus at all? We're all, I believe, really in a non-judgmental approach that we're all doing the best we can. And we have to believe that of each other, that we're all doing things with good intentions and with our own best intentions at heart. And that if you succeed, it doesn't mean that I can't succeed. And I think that is also a notion that we really need to make sure that as women, we support each other wholeheartedly and unconditionally, instead of thinking that, well, if she's successful, then I can't be. I mean, certainly as an author, I am in many, many author groups and have a lot of friends and peers who are authors, and I feel like it's really my tribe, and we all really support each other. And I think it has to work that way, because you can see someone making, this success here or this success here, but it doesn't diminish the success I'm having or the fact that I'm living my dream and writing the book that I always wanted to write. I always wanted to be a writer. So I'm following my path. So encouraging somebody on their path doesn't detract from me. And I think the more that as women we can see that and work to lift one another up, the better off we all are.
I think that's amazing. And is it a point where we almost need to check ourselves if we're the one being negative?
Sure.
Is that also a good idea, maybe, I think?
Yeah.
If you
And I
find
think,
yourself, okay, hold it back, lift up.
Yeah, and I think self-reflection is something that's valuable throughout life and in all contexts and all areas. And it's probably one of the most difficult things to do, right? To be able to see, where's our fault in this, or where's our judgment coming in, and where can we replace that with a more loving, kind thought and a more generous thought and spirit, as opposed to immediately going to and assuming that somebody else has a bad intention. Right? Can we instead assume that they have a good intention, and then that way our reaction is more appropriate and our reaction is more caring as well?
That's incredible to think about. Want to talk to you a little bit about, and so these are just all ways that you can help each other as we go to help support more women follow their dreams, follow their paths, and possibly become entrepreneurs in their own right, whatever that may be. And I find it so interesting, just the link and the connection, especially I kind of want to touch on that. You don't necessarily have to, if you want to focus on your career or you want to focus on your family, why can't it be both? It shouldn't be one or the other, right? I mean, I think why not be able to have both? And I feel like in our society, sometimes it's one or the other.
Yeah, I think now more than ever we really have the opportunity to do that with the technology the way it is, and more flexible schedules, more open-mindedness around working from home and balancing that. So I do think that there is certainly more possibility for that. And I think each and every individual woman and family has to figure out how to do that on their own. It's all about prioritizing and setting what is the most important and valuable for us in our own personal world. Not with what's, works for next door or her or my colleague.
Or Facebook or Twitter.
For sure. That's right. Bring social media into it. It's another whole element. But yeah, looking at what works best for our family and then feeling okay with that. And we're all going to have moments where we feel like, I do not have it all together. This is all falling apart. But to be able to be kind and generous with ourselves, I think, is also really important. And then that's part of being confident, is having that resilience to be able to say, all right, messed that one up, but how do I get back on and figure it out or fix this or make it right? Yeah, owning it.
I love that, owning it. And again, that message of having the confidence and being able to get to that point, I think is so valuable and so crucial. And so interested excited to read that book. So you've taken a different path to get to where you are today, which I think is so unique and interesting, and being able to have the confidence to do that, it's not always easy to be able to get to the point where we all are at today, right? I want to talk to you a little bit about your community work, because I think this is amazing what you're doing, and I always find it really neat, and I definitely want to highlight it. So you were part of the initial campaign to help build is it Kampala? Okay,
Yep.
The Kampala Children's Center. This is in Uganda, and so you helped raise the initial $95,000 to help build this center in Uganda, but you're not done with this mission. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing right now within our community to help continue this ongoing effort.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So there's a group called Destiny Africa, and they come from the Kampala Children's Center in Uganda. They're a traveling choir, dance, drumming. It's a phenomenal performance.
Neat.
And
Yeah.
they have come and toured mostly in Rhode Island as a big hub, but then throughout New England and a little bit down the eastern coast. So they will be back. I just learned last night, actually, they're going to be back. Their next tour will probably be April, May-ish this year.
Okay.
So we're excited about that. So the medical center was a huge support with a lot of Rhode Islanders behind it, a lot of Rhode Island support and corporate support. And we were able to raise that initial amount. I was there in March with my oldest daughter. We went to visit it, and we physically walked through the medical center, which is up and built. So the exciting part is that has been up and running, and they're working on the lower level. So they need a little bit more money. It will be self-sustaining. We will not have to keep going back and raising this each year. But the upper level needs wire, electric, water, and finishing interior stuff, and then some outside walkways. So I'm working with 5 8th grade girls who all go to Cole Middle School, and they have been individually reaching out to schools across the state. We're hoping to mobilize students across the state to have kids help kids, Rhode Islanders helping these kids in Kampala, to provide really much, much, much needed medical care, dental care, preventive care, education, the whole gamut, in a safe way. So they're reaching out if there's anybody in the state and their school wants to participate, or if it's a sports team, a church group, a scouting group, any kind of organization at all. They could do a bake sale or a car wash, any kind of thing that raises even $68, $300. We're really excited and hoping that it's kids helping kids to make this next phase of the medical center happen.
I think that's so neat that here's a group of teens that want to help. They want to help get this mission, make it possible, and instilling community beliefs, beyond, what they can see in front of them.
Yeah.
Because what they can see in front of them is totally different. So
absolutely, without a doubt. Even for a woman who is my age, going to Uganda, it's a very, very different culture. And I've been to many third world countries. It's very different. But being able to do this, it's going to be exciting. And then in the spring, what we hope to do is to have a culminating event, a dance event in the spring, where when the kids are here, they'll be invited to the event as well.
Oh, cool.
So stay tuned for more details on that. But we're hoping that then every school or every organization that contributes some money would be invited to come as well and get to meet the kids and be a part of this big dance event at the end. So to celebrate, hopefully getting to that, our goal is $25,000. So hopefully to get to that. So
that's great. So we'll make sure to get information on that. So if you are interested, if there's a school group or, like you said, scouting group, anything like that that's interested in helping participate, $25,000 is the goal for that, which I think is fantastic. And again, having kids be part of something that's bigger than them, I think is crucial, especially in this day and age. If you can do something to help anybody else, why not, right?
Service is huge. Yeah.
My goodness.
Yes.
So we're going to let you get going because you have to head over to the Lady Project tonight. You're moderating a panel. Talk to me a little bit about what you're looking forward to. I know a couple people have been featured that are on the panel tonight.
Yeah.
Have been featured on the show. We're looking forward to. What are you looking forward to tonight speaking and moderating?
Well, so I think that, I have been a business owner. I grew up with a father who was a business owner, and being an author is really also being an entrepreneur. We really have to build a brand. You really have to look at it as a business as well. And sometimes just the writing part is the easy part. Everything else gets a little harder. Right. So I'm looking forward to hearing. There's a lot of interesting connections between these women. Yeah. I love asking questions about the nuts and bolts, the nitty gritty of what do you need to know about your numbers and your analytics and the reality of that. We talked a little bit about balance. Like how do you balance the time to be creative and the thing you loved about starting the business with the stuff you don't really love, with family life and social life. And also really, what's your big why? What's in it for each of them? Why are they choosing to follow their heart? And it's very, very hard. It's a lot of work to be an entrepreneur. My husband runs his own company. So I'm in a very entrepreneurial environment. My whole life has been. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. And there are also some, as it would be in Rhode Island, of course, there's a lot of nice connections between the women. So I'm interested to explore how do they support one another, even on a business level, beyond just being supportive in a general sense. Really specifically how they support one another.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and I think it's so interesting too on, like you said, add the connections, how everybody's connected in that form. But you're right. I find it interesting when you own a business or you're in a business, how do you step away? Mm-hmm. Can you step away? And how do you take those breaks for yourself? And how do you push forward, when things happen?
For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, self-care. How do you fit in self-care?
Yeah. Can you? Do you?
Right. And it's necessary or you're not going to be able to
or nothing functions.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So
right.
super interesting. Yeah. So Leah, thanks so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. Her book is, I'll have her hold it up again, Forks, Knives, and Spoons. You can get it. Where do you like to get your books?
So I love to support local independent bookstores, but I have to say, love Amazon. So right. I do love Amazon too. So wherever you buy books and prefer to buy books, they're there.
Okay.
It's also an audiobook, which I love audiobooks.
Audiobooks are great. Yeah. I like to get audiobooks from the library.
Yeah.
You can check them
out. I do.
There.
I always have one in my car.
Exactly. All right, well, Leah, thank you so much. You can grab that at your favorite local retailer or get it on audiobooks, ebooks as well. So thanks so much for joining us. We're wrapping up here on Go Local Live, the Navigate and Credit Union Broadcast Center. Business Monday starts here just momentarily at 4 o'clock, so we will see you then. Thanks for watching. I'm Molly.